So I'm going to ask you for a moment, well, for the next 7 minutes, to think of yourselves as 4, 5, or maybe 6-year-old children, and listen to one of my creations called Never Play Music Right Next to the Zoo. It's my most recent kids book, published about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's by far my favorite. I'm going to sing it for you now. I hope you enjoy it. I went to a concert when I was a lad, no older than many of you. I sat with my sister, my mother, my dad, at a band shell right next to the zoo. The soft summer air was so balmy and sweet, and the program was running so long that I found myself falling asleep in my seat, despite all the music and song. All at once the conductor erupted with rage. A band of wild animals was storming the stage. Oh, children, remember, whatever you may do, never play music right next to the zoo. They'll burst from their cages, each beast and each bird, desperate to play all the music they've heard. The lions and the elephants, the bears and the raccoons will steal away the trumpets, the flutes and bassoons, replace the musicians and chase them away. Then they'll sit in the band shell and play. You have to do your research, because there's facts to deal with, and comparing yourself to the real thing. It always varies. I don't think I prepare nearly as much as a lot of serious actors do. Sometimes I feel like a faker. But Churchill was such a good and specific example. I couldn't find any footage of him just in person. Everything he did was a piece of public performance. Right. And I kept looking for, and I was reading about his terrible insecurities, his anxieties about his lisp. Yeah, lisp, the kind of lisp that's in the back of your mouth. But you don't see that. You see the public Churchill overcoming that. I found this marvelous little clip of him when they were trying to pick the Conservative Party spokesperson in an election in like 1954, 53, and on television. It was the first time a political pitch was made on TV, and they weren't sure whether Churchill was the person to do the pitch, and they literally gave him a screen test with a clapper and everything. And I found that somebody sent it to me, and there he was. He was famous for being able to spout paragraphs of poetry. Right. And so he begins by beginning a poem that he knows perfectly well. He begins, and he dries, he forgets it. I thought, my God, this is gold, it's gold. Because otherwise, all you're seeing is this pre-baked, the public Churchill. My 10th grade year in Akron, my English class all year, the first semester was literature, and the second semester was speech. And at first I thought, speech? What's the point? There was this teacher named Miss Guy, and she taught us the rudiments of debate and public speaking, and basically how to construct a speech, create an outline. Don't read it as I wrote it, as I read it tonight, by the way, but connect, have confidence in your own wits, relax, blah, 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 all simple things. And I think she really made a difference to me. It's so ironic that was I kept thinking, wait a minute, what about Shakespeare? And aren't we supposed to be reading Dickens and stuff? But in its way, that was the most valuable. I have to give my sister a plug. My older sister, Robin Lithgow, who was a terrific teacher, who then went into the administration of the LA Unified School District as the arts administrator. She has just written a wonderful book called Lessons from Shakespeare's Classroom about Shakespeare's education between about the age of 10 and 14. When the transition was taking place between Latin and English instruction, and how they taught students at that time. And it all had to do with students standing up and reading in front of all their classmates, or performing these little colloquia written by Erasmus, these little sketches, all performed in Latin. So they got into the habit of communicating constantly with people and having confidence in that communication. Right. In a sense, I got a little dose of that in the second semester of that 10th grade English class. You know, I'm glad that there's been a lot of talk about National Forensic League and debate this evening, because it's very connected with this whole thing about arts and education. Giving people a sense of giving young people a sense of their own powers and a sense of themselves. I mean, that's what it's all